Hello there, I decided to start as soon as Puck decided he wanted to start drinking water, so, yeah, that's the sound that is. Hey Dapper, how's it going?
Oh, it's going alright, you?
Oh, not bad. Twitter's a nightmare show, as usual.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
It's pretty standard. I've been getting to use your citation needed meme. It's been pretty great.
Nice.
I've been
Awesome.
enjoying it. It's probably become one of my favorites slowly over a short period of time because I think it's hilarious.
I mean, it absolutely is hilarious, yeah.
We do want to give Dapper a special congratulations today since you just broke your 5K and you just had your special.
Are you sure about that?
Did you not?
Sorry. No, I just used my citation needed me.
Ah!
But
I
yeah,
saw
I
that
had
happen.
I had my 5,000 subscriber special, which the citation is just my channel page, which will tell you I'm at, I think, like 5.57 or something.
Oh, dang.
So, yay.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You are one of our two resident Kent Hovind experts. You and obviously Bent Hovind, no relation.
Right.
What echo? Echo from what? From where? Nonsense. I'm getting trolled.
I mean, I don't have your audio up on the stream, so I can't tell.
I don't even have my stream open.
Oh.
I don't have my own stream open. What is this nonsense?
I think someone might just have two instances of stream open and they're not quite synced.
Yeah, I think I'm getting trolled. I think my own chat is
Thank you, Luca Medunio, for the happy birthday. Yeah, it was my birthday on Monday.
I forgot my oven mitt. That's that low rumble. I'll get that in a second. Let me just go to the stream that's happening right now to see if I've got an echo of what's going on, because now I gotta find it.
Weird.
Oh, okay, no, we're good. Apparently we're good. Alright, give me 1 second, I'll get this, entertain the fine people. I'll be back in a sec, I'll go get an oven mitt.
Well, hello everyone. I'm the Dapper Dino. So weird thing is, after this, I have to rush over, watch a Kent Hovind debate on times 2 speed, assuming it even happens, maybe even times 3 speed, and then host an after show for a modern day debate between Kent Hovind and Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal. So check that out, maybe, unless you like your brain cells, in which case don't check it out. Yo, welcome back.
We have reached peak production value. I've put an oven mitt underneath my microphone. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Luckily, I can't reach my own forehead, so it works.
Oh, I guess that makes it safe for you. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so where last time on Kent Hovind Sues the World, we saw his huge list of people, some of whom were his judge, some of whom were his lawyers that he hired, who he decided to say that were all conspiring against him, including the jury and the prosecutors, that were all colluding to screw over this one guy named Kent Hovind.
This one poor guy who was, avoiding paying payroll taxes and was structuring for years, knowingly, according to multiple witnesses. That poor guy.
That poor guy.
Yeah.
So clearly Kent
Hovind let a
Hovind.
little boy drown.
Right? That was what was that? Was last year?
Yeah. Yep, last year he let a little boy drown in his lake, and then he said that, but his siblings had a great time, they can't wait to come back. And that was how we closed that one.
Yay! Alright, so, that's an appropriate segue to count number 4 is state-created danger.
Yeah. Like a defendant United States of America, which, as we've discussed, you can't really just sue the entire federal government in a go. You can sue departments of the federal government, like you can sue, like the Department of Fish and Wildlife or the FBI or something if they've done something wrong. But you generally can't just sue the entire United States government.
I sue the pretend country that is America. I don't believe America is a real place anymore, quite frankly.
That's fair.
I don't know if that's fair, but it does seem fair to me.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to try to convince you it's a real place. Although I would wonder what is south of the border.
Of the Canadian border?
Yeah.
It is a wild west place of a group of people, a group of states that are united that for some reason think they're a country right now, and they're not quite there. They could be if they wanted to be, but because they refuse to recognize that they haven't actually built a country, they won't do it.
So let's see. Yeah, 67, he's just like, oh, hey, remember all that crap that we went over in the first episode? Yeah, he restated here.
Yeah, so
But
basically we get a recap in State Created Danger, which is, handy dandy. Yeah. It's awfully nice of Ken Hovind to set this up specifically for the stream we're doing right now.
So basically, yeah, he was just like, you guys came to my place, you arrested everybody, you dragged me out of bed in the middle of the night while I was in bed with my wife, and you didn't have a proper warrant, even though, yes, they absolutely did. And, there was no certified complaint, which you don't need one if there's a grand jury indictment.
I think my favorite thing was that he said that you can't... That stating what he was being charged for was being used as evidence or something.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to be confronted with what my charge was, but then also he complained that they told him that he was structuring and that was, being used... the fact that he was told that he was arrested for structuring was used in court as evidence against... Which... what? It was very much a have you can't... he wants to have his cake and eat it too, He, on the one hand, wants to complain that he was never adequately told what the crime was, and on the other hand, he wants to complain that when he was told what the crime was, that was part of the conspiracy. Yeah.
It's like he's going a good solid mix of Al Gore, Super Serial, and Eric Cartman, Respect My Authority.
He's like, what the heck are those dislikes? Have you never been to a Cheshire Vic stream before?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably not Ken Hovind supporters. It's just people who hate me.
Yeah.
All right, number 67 is plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 51. Thanks. Defendant United States of America is liable for the policy and custom of allowing its officers and agents to seize people and property and prosecute without oaths or affirmation in the official record complaint to the Fourth Amendment as such was established in the year of 1791 Bill of Rights. But it's an amendment.
So, as far as I can tell, this is just nonsense. So, the Fourth Amendment is the amendment that says that Americans... Actually, it doesn't even just say Americans. People in the United States. So, generally speaking, foreigners are also afforded the Bill of Rights. So,
right.
You're not allowed to be searched or have your property taken without just cause, and probable cause is usually what that's referred to, without a warrant. Now, of course, they had a warrant, and as far as I know, there's nothing in the Fourth Amendment about oaths or affirmation in official record. You just need the warrant.
Right.
You go to a judge, you say, here are the reasons we think we should have a warrant.
It's because those reasons are usually the oaths or the affirmation. Here's our reasoning why... Give us the warrant.
I'm not positive, but I believe when you go in front of a judge to get a warrant, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be under oath. If you lie to a judge about why you want north, I'm pretty sure you can get hit for perjury on that one.
Yeah. 69. Defendant United States. Defendant United States of America. Agents are accustomed in doing said acts without first evidencing or even evidenced as of this day if Hovind or Creation Science, whatever the hell it's called, was qualified, eligible, or had legal duty to maintain an EIN with and withhold any taxes for the United States of America. So he was complaining earlier in this about how he reached out to the IRS and the IRS didn't bother to answer him. And he is like, so I didn't know.
Yeah. So, by the way, in case I don't know about other countries, but in the United States, the way the payroll taxes work are, first, if you're employing people as a regular employment, this is their job, you need to have an employer identification number, which the government then uses to track your employees and whether or not you have paid payroll taxes for those employees. And they also have to put that in their tax forms when they pay their income taxes if you send them a W-2, which you're supposed to if they're your employees. So basically all it takes to be someone who needs to have an EIN is to have employees that's just their regular job, right? Now, if you hire someone for like an odd job, then they're essentially a contractor. And they're supposed to report their money as self-earned, right? Because they're essentially self-employed. And there is a gray line there. There's some areas where it's like, there's been controversy in the United States as to whether like rideshare drivers or the people who do delivery, like food delivery for the same types of things like Uber Eats, are they employees or are they contractors or freelance? And so there's gray area. But the thing is, in this area, all of Kent Hovind's employees stated that they considered themselves to be employees in court, and he was giving them a regular salary for regular hours to come in, scheduled every week, usually 5 days a week. They were employees. There is no real ambiguity about that. And so he needed an EIN. And if he had asked any competent tax attorney, they would tell him the same thing.
I mean, yeah. So he's trying to plead ignorance, basically.
Yeah, which was his entire defense in court, and guess how well that worked?
It didn't. So he's trying to plead ignorance again here, as if that's going to change anything.
Maybe it'll help in the lawsuit. So 70 is a defendant, United States of America, agents are accustomed to, without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE was doing any business in land where the legislative authority reaches as limited in Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17 of the Constitution of the United States, as associated with each charge against Hovind in 2006. Here's a clue to Mr. Hovind here. If you're inside the borders of the United States of America, you are subject to the federal laws of the United States of America.
The sovereign citizen is strong in this bit.
Yeah. So this goes back to his argument that basically unless you're on like a military base or Washington D.C., federal law can't touch you. Sorry, buddy. Not how that works.
Yeah, that is not how that works. I think Puck is like half growling, but he's doing like little but he's laying in the bathroom.
He's doing very, very lazy protects.
Yeah, in the bathroom. There
might be a murderer out there, and he's just doing the absolute minimum that he feels is necessary to keep the murderer at bay.
There's a ghost in my shower, and he's like, you stay in there. I don't want to have a bath. 71. Defendant United States of America agents are accustomed in doing said acts without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE had any legal or contractual duty with any withholding for the defendant. What?
Yeah, that is. So he's saying that they haven't shown that he actually owed the money.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, they did in court.
Okay.
Yep. When he was convicted of failure to withhold, part of that is like, here's why he has to withhold. Because he's an employer. And these are his employees. How do we know they're his employees? Because everyone considered them employees. They acted like employees. They were paid like employees.
They thought they were employees.
Right. So they were employees. And if you have employees, you're an employer. Therefore, you owe payroll taxes.
Womp womp. Count 5. Malicious prosecution. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraph 1 through 51 above. Defendant United States of America is liable for the policy and custom of allowing its officers and agents to maliciously prosecute Hovind and ministries such as CSE. This is like when he was going into the religious thing. Oh yeah, here it is. It's coming. I jumped the gun.
Good.
I jumped the gun. Defendant United States of America agents are accustomed in bringing multiple fatal tidal waves of force against plaintiffs.
Who died? Look, first of all, it's tidal, Tidal. There's no such thing as a tidal wave.
A fatal tidal. Like, no, they're calling him dead, I guess. I don't know.
But I want to know. No, I'm pretty sure it's just a mistake. I'm pretty sure whoever wrote this thinks that tidal waves are tidal waves.
Probably. I mean, considering he had thought written out in one of his, like, THOT.
Oh, yeah. He did say thought. THOT. That was hilarious.
There's no way he knew.
No. But I do, like, if you're going to use the word fatal, someone better have damn well died.
Especially in a court document.
Right. As far as I know, no one died in any of this.
Court documents like this aren't exactly the place for hyperbole.
No. And in doing said acts of prosecution without first evidencing if Hovind or CSC was subject to the charge of written laws, Americans have never consented to unjust force upon the weak in our society by any government, especially the most powerful one in the world. Okay, here's how you know if you're subject to written laws. Are you in the territory claimed by the state that wrote the laws? If yes, then you are subject to them. If B, then probably not. But not always not. Because here's a cool thing about the United States of America. You're subject to U.S. tax law if you're a citizen living abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to get out of U.S. tax law, there's only a few options. You can renounce your citizenship and become a citizen of a new country, at which point the United States may or may not accept your renouncement of citizenship after you pay them several $1,000s.
Yep.
For the privilege of not being an American anymore. Or there are certain parts in America where you don't have to pay federal taxes because they're not actually states. And so technically, because they don't have federal representation, they're not allowed to be federally taxed. So go to Puerto Rico.
There you go.
Or Guam. Or the U.S. Virgin Islands.
There you go.
Yeah, Ken should have just gone to Guam.
Problem solved.
I mean,
it
he
is
still
charged...
would have had the problems of failure to follow, like, building codes.
Oh, yeah, of course. It is charged by plaintiffs that the events was religious persecution and unconstitutional state expansion in nature.
I'll tell you what, Ken. You found a non-religious dinosaur Adventureland and don't pay payroll taxes and see what happens. See, now he's being clever because he's not paying his staff at all except for room and board. And they don't tax room and board in the United States. They only actually tax the money you're paid. Other benefits... Like, if you're like, oh, you get access to the break room.
Slowly slipping into the indentured servitude part of the Bible.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Although, to be fair, he does allow you to leave without chasing you down. So, numerous people have left, and he hasn't chased any of them down yet.
Yeah, he's not quite like that level of cult yet. Yeah. Had he done it sooner, he might have been. Like, had he done that initially while he had such a large following, maybe.
Actually, I did hear a story, and I think this loophole has since been closed, but someone who decided to pay his employees in gold coins, and the thing is, if you take actual gold bullion issued by the United States government, because they do issue it, you can use it at the face value. So if you pay someone a salary of, like, you know, $10 a month, but you're paying them in 1 ounce gold coins, your payroll taxes reflect $10 a month, but they go sell those gold coins for significantly more than $10.
That's an interesting loophole. That's actually pretty clever.
But I'm pretty sure
this sounds like some Bitcoin nonsense. I'm gonna pay you with Bitcoin.
I'm pretty sure that loophole has been closed since then.
Count 6, unlawful seizure. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 51 above. Defendant, United States of America, is liable for the policy and custom of allowing its officers and agents to arrest and seize plaintiff's property without due process. United States of America agents and officers seized $52,000 from CSE, which is bold now for some reason, safe during the raid of July 13th, 2006. Hey, listen, at least it's not September 13th, 2006.
I like how it says without court order, warrant, or judgment, except there was a warrant.
By forcing a ministry worker, Joe Hovind, to unlock the CSE safe with a threat of, if refused, they would force the safe open. Wow, what a threat, open this, or we're gonna open it ourselves.
I mean, it's like, if it had been like, open it, or we're gonna break your fingers...
Yeah, that'd be different.
Be like, yeah, okay.
Open this or we'll shoot you would be like a real threat. Open this before we're going. Do you want to open this? Do you want to do this? We'll just break it open if you don't.
Yeah, it basically comes down to we have a warrant to search this, including the safe. If you want to keep the safe after we're done, you better open it yourself because we're gonna force our way in.
Count 7, armed robbery.
Ooh.
Plaintiff realleges as incorporates by reference paragraph 1 through 51 above. Defendant, United States of America, is liable for the property and customs of allowing its officers and agents to do acts of armed robbery. United States of America agents and officers seized $52,000 from CSE safe during the raid of July 13th, 2006, without court order, warrant, or judgment by forcing ministry worker Joe Hovind at gunpoint to unlock the safe with verbal threat of, if not opened, they would force the safe open. That's
Again, that's not what armed robbery is. So here's the thing, right? Armed robbery, for it to be robbery, you have to make threats to the person you're stealing from to harm them, right?
And it has to be unlawful, and a search warrant and seizure of your shit because you haven't paid your taxes is not robbery, according to the United States.
Even if they didn't have that, this would be theft. It wouldn't actually be robbery, unless they were threatening her. If you say, hey...
Yeah, if you wanted to consider it theft, to be like, if Ken Hovind's like, listen, I don't actually owe you any tax money because I'm a sovereign citizen, whatever, blah, 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 fine, still wouldn't be armed robbery.
Yeah. If you say to someone like, hey, open this window so I can take, I don't know, the cash you have sitting on the table just past it, or I'll break the window and take it, you've stolen... You broke in an entry, but you haven't robbed.
Yep. Words mean things in law.
Weird, right?
You mean different words have different meanings depending on their context?
Crazy.
Bizarre. Coercive power, count 8. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraph 1 through 51. Defendant, United States of America, is liable for the policy and custom of applying coercive power through their ranks of its agents and officers to the act with disregard for constitutional limits and rights of Hovind and CSE. Listen, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. Either you're going sovereign citizen, which means you don't have those rights, or you're not going sovereign citizen and you do have those rights. You can't say that you're not a citizen and then be like, but I have states' right and protections though.
Well, he might be able to, in that if he were right that he's only kind of a citizen, it is the case that constitutional rights in the United States generally do apply to people who aren't citizens. But
right,
going with that, so do the federal laws.
Like taxes.
Yeah. So like even if Kent really weren't a citizen, right? Even if he were like a citizen of Mexico or something and he came up to the United States, he still has a right to free speech. He still has a right to remain silent and not testify against himself. All this stuff. He still has those rights. He doesn't have a right to vote, but I mean, other than that, he gets the constitutional rights that, citizens get. Because that's one of the things that actually a lot of, especially right-wing Americans, forget, is that, hey, non-citizens in U.S. soil have those rights too. You're not allowed to just search someone's car because they're Mexican. That's not how that works.
Yep. United States of America. Agents and officers seized and arrested Hovind with CSE assets as formerly stated, adding that such acts are done with the attitude that crime pays. Okay. The more collected, the greater chance of employment advancement for the violator. Out of 10 million confiscations done without law, only a few are stopped, thus ending with the gain, violation, far outweighs the cost, again, crime pays. United States employees that collect, regardless if they act constitutional authority, get advanced. So
he's alleging that they have like whoever seizes the most property gets promoted?
Yes.
So so this does get into a weird thing that happens in the U.S. called civil asset forfeiture. And so, in this, if there's probable cause that you've committed a crime, now not every state has this, but it's generally a state thing, but it does happen. The police can then seize your property that they suspect was associated with the crime.
So, like, if you stole a car and they think that you stole the car, they can seize the car.
Well, it's usually more like if they think that you were transporting drugs in the car.
Yeah.
They'll seize the car.
Yeah.
And then to get it back, you have to prove to them that that the property wasn't used in commission of a crime, regardless of whether or not you were convicted of a crime. And you have the burden of proof to show that there was no crime in order to get your property back. And after a certain period of time, then those police agencies will auction off your seized property.
Which is pretty nonsense.
Yeah, that's why there's been a lot of pushes to basically outlaw it in a lot of places. And
Yeah.
it is completely insane, and it's not okay. However, it's not a federal policy. And I am unaware of any actual, promotions based on how much money you seize. Now, if there is such a thing, I would love to see evidence of that because that would be a problem for me. But
Yeah, I would
Hovind has
agree.
not provided such evidence.
Correct. And then there's also a difference between if that's what happened in this case or not, right? Which does not appear to be the case. This appears to be a fully lawful. They had a warrant, they went in, they seized assets because he owed them money. Throw the Dwarf of the House of Torg for 5 said the safe was an employee that the cops were stealing from.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Did he pay payroll taxes on the safe?
Probably not.
Count 9. Knowingly accepts benefits from unconstitutional behavior. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraph 1 through 51 above. Defendant United States of America is liable for the policy and custom of allowing its officers and agents to do unconstitutional acts, thus knowingly accept benefits, hundreds of millions, from unconstitutional behavior. United States of America agents and officers cease and arrest as formally stated, adding that such acts are done with the custom and policy of take, and we will sort out the legality of it all later. Thus, the small percentage that will be fought for and given back is insignificant to the amount the plaintiff gains due to the heavy atmosphere of fear and control of the masses. They, the strong, therefore impose on the few that try to oppose such tyranny. Like, this sounds like it might make an interesting YouTube video, but not a court document.
Right, yeah. This is not the place to use the language, quote, take, and we will sort out all later.
Yeah, like, you might be able to have some discussions about what is and is not appropriate policy and what maybe needs to be changed or updated or rectified, but it still doesn't apply to this case. And this is not where you would put this.
Yeah.
God damn it, Ken. Fix your formatting. I hate you.
And you've been reading a lot of legal documents, so now you know about legal formatting.
I do know a little bit more about legal formatting than I did 2 years ago. I'll put it that way.
I think a lot of us do.
Oh my god, how much further are we out from that, from non sequitur? We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 business days? Wait, what day is that on? I don't remember.
The 25th. So we're 9 days away, and 2 of those are.
Oh yeah, I remember being surprised it's on a Friday. So yeah, we're just over a week away.
Yeah. So 9 days and 7 business days. It's funny, I haven't seen anyone filing as a representative of the defendant in that lawsuit.
I don't think he's allowed to. I think he's out of time to file for that.
I have a very strong suspicion, though, that if someone tried to file notice of appearance as representative, that this judge would allow it. If someone did.
If somebody did. Oh, okay, yeah. I think so. I think there's a decent chance. They kind of would rather him, so.
I mean, it makes it easier for the court if he has
representation. It makes it easier for Steve, too.
Yeah.
Did you see how fast and quickly things got done when he had a lawyer?
It was amazing.
Oh, it was great. God damn it, Kyle. Get another lawyer, for fuck's sakes. Nobody will take him now.
Someone was looking out for his best interest. It's just that the lawyer realized pretty fast that his best interest isn't anything Kyle was interested in.
No, you ain't wrong. That is too real. Defendant, United States of America. Plaintiff realleges, incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 51. Defendant, United States of America, is liable for false imprisonment, failure to equal protection, state-created danger. Bitch, you hired your own lawyer. Shut up. State-created danger, unlawful seizure, armed robbery, coercive. There we go. Power, and knowingly accept benefits from unconstitutional behavior under law committed against plaintiff by defendants as listed agents and officers while accepting the scope of their employment. I would like to remind everybody that the defendants that are listed are the judge, the prosecutors, his defense lawyer.
Yep. And I think there's another lawyer associated with the prosecution that was also in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There's
ridiculous.
like 6 people.
And speaking of the
Watch
judge...
part 1 if you want to see when we went through who exactly was getting sued. And the United States, in general.
Well, yes, the whole thing. Because that's totally a thing that you can generally just do.
Oh, and let us not forget that the United States of America being unconstitutional is Florida. He's talking about Florida. Why did you try to do this in Florida?
Well, to be fair, I think if you want to sue the federal government, like a federal government agency in the USA, you can do it from any state or territory. Yeah,
but I mean, like, he tried to get away. It's not where he's deciding to try and do it. I mean, like, he tried to initially pull all of this shit in Florida.
Oh,
As if Florida's gonna give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's Florida.
So now we're gonna get specifically what he has against the judge in the case, which again...
It's like saying if you're gonna have sex with your sister and you don't want to get arrested for it, you don't do it in New York.
You go to Alabama.
Exactly.
Actually, it's illegal there.
I said get away with it, not it being legal.
Well, okay, that's fair. But yeah, so now we get to know what he has against the judge, which again, you can't really sue the judge who was presiding over the case where you were convicted.
Yes.
You just can't. Now, you could have an appeal, and on the appeal, it could come out that the judge acted unethically, in which case you could do something like with the legal licensing body in the state or federally, and have like an ethics complaint or something, right? Which then gets reviewed. You can do that. There are ways to get back at judges who do things that are grossly unethical. Yeah. It's with ethics complaints. It's not by lawsuit.
Smitty said Kyle must have vengeance against Steve for not being robbed quietly and meekly. How dare he defend himself from crimes?
Weird. Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Not okay. Margaret Catherine Rogers, an individual, presiding criminal trial administrator. The judge.
The judge. Which, by the way, I don't think presiding criminal trial administrator is a real title.
No, I don't think so.
I think he's just avoiding calling her a judge because he thinks that if he doesn't acknowledge that she's an actually duly appointed federal judge, that, like, it'll help his case somehow.
I mean, him being delusional definitely will make it sound better in his own head. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates references paragraph 1 through 51 above. Defendant Rogers is liable for allowing false imprisonment of equal protection, state-created danger, unlawful seizure, armed robbery, coercive power, and knowingly accepts benefits from unconstitutional behavior under the law committed against plaintiff by all the defendants as listed agents and officers while acting in the scope of their employment. Plaintiff claims damages under 42 U.S.C. paragraph 1983 for the injuries set forth above. Defendant Rogers for violation of constitutional rights under color of law. Okay, so does he have, like, her bank statements that demonstrate that she got a chunk of his land or some shit?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you want to allege that someone actually gained benefits from this, you're going to have to actually produce evidence that they received some material benefit from this, or at the very least got bumped up in terms of, like, a promotion queue or something.
Listen, she got paid to do her job. Doesn't that count?
Yeah. And judges in the United States aren't paid more for convictions or anything.
Right.
You get a salary and you go to work. And however many cases you get done is how many you get done. How they turn out is how they turn out. You just get your salary.
Count 12, false imprisonment. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 51. Plaintiff was arrested with no sworn complaint in the official record that meets the Fourth Amendment requirements as found in the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States, which is the custom of policy of Rogers. As described more fully above, Rogers, as an officer of the United States of America, while acting individually, jointly, and conspiracy, as well as under the color of law and within the scope of their employment, caused Hovind to be falsely imprisoned in violation of Constitution written law for Hovind, as a man of right cannot be arrested by warrant. The fuck you can't!
Yeah, and then prosecute without defense meeting the requirement set forth. The thing is, Hovind is just wrong about what the Fourth Amendment means.
Yep.
He thinks so. Basically, this is now. Look, you can have the philosophical discussion about this because I'm about to get into like the quote unquote victimless crime idea. There are philosophical discussions to be had as to whether or not it is reasonable to imprison people for victimless crimes, and this is probably a victimless crime. However,
yeah. In this case, the construction violations might not be it. I mean, a kid died on his property, so like that might be a different kind of issue. But for taxes,
again, that's decades after this.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the thing is, like, you can have that philosophical discussion, but the Fourth Amendment has nothing to say about whether or not a warrant can be issued without a sworn complaint from a victim.
Right.
That's just not in there. So Hovind is basically just hoping that whoever sees this case will take seriously his philosophical position that victimless crimes shouldn't be prosecuted.
But he's not even really arguing that.
No, he's not. He's just kind of having that as a background assumption, because sovereign citizens like to think that judges know they're right. They know it secretly because they went to law school and they learned all this stuff. But now they're part of the big conspiracy. Be like, shh, don't let the people know about this, because if they believe that what we actually say in the law is right, they won't know about the real law.
Oh.
And now we can get them.
Okay, got it. As a result of this violation, Hovind suffered injury, including but not limited to emotional distress, loss of reputation, loss of revenue, loss of relationships, such as a divorce after 42 years of a blessed marriage, followed by complete abandonment by son Eric, daughter Melissa, and all grandchildren. He skipped his other son again, with close to no speaking engagements as compared to being booked up in advance for 18 months prior to conviction, as associated with speaking in 30-plus countries in 50-plus churches, and before more than 50,000 people yearly before the said arrest in 2006, where all this false notoriety started and Hovind's popularity vanished. Yeah, getting arrested for being a dick is probably going to hurt your reputation. Yeah,
but here's a great thing.
Or being convicted, I should say.
Kent has had the same speaking engagement booked on 3 separate dates in the past week. He might show up this time. So you know what, Kent? Part of the problem with you getting speaking engagements is that you don't show up.
Yeah, he doesn't like to go anywhere anymore.
Look, he had he's supposed to be on Modern Day Debate in like 20 minutes, right? Is he actually going to be there? Not a clue, but I doubt it. And here's the thing. When, you know who Science Side Up is, right? Yeah, of course you do. She's Maddie. She's our DM. Duh.
Yes. She plays D&D with us on Monday nights, every other week.
Well, you know, I have to ask because of your small female brain. You might forget things like this, obviously.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, but when she set up a debate with him, and I was like, there's about a 33% chance he shows. And sure enough, he didn't show up the first time or the second time. And finally, on the third day they had scheduled, he finally made it. So, Kent Hovind, if you ever watch this, if you want more speaking engagements, may I suggest you show up to the ones you fucking have? That
would probably help, yeah.
God.
The way you build up your reputation again is by showing up all over the place.
Yeah,
the reason I have a reputation has absolutely nothing to do with my number of subscribers, nor how much money I make, nor anything. I have a reputation because when I did arrive on the scene of YouTube, I went everywhere and talked to everyone, and it gave me way more pull than I have compared to numbers. It's silly. I acknowledge my YouTube channel ain't big. You're bigger than I am, but if I say something on Twitter, it blows up harder than yours does.
Oh, that's because I don't say things on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Citation needed. The misconduct described in this court was objectively unreasonable and was listen, there's a lot of flat earthers that don't want to talk to me. Do you want to know how many flat earthers I've debated? 0.
I thought it was 1.
No, I was never in a debate.
Okay.
I was in 2 calls. One with Russian vids, and the other with Spurs. Russian vids left and never came back, and Spurs will not show up at a place where I am.
Well, we should ambush one of them.
We don't need to ambush them.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Every once in a while I do a flat Earth debate. I could just have you, like, sub in for me. Like, oh, there she is.
Oh, hey, what up? It's me, your boy. Hey, hey. Pew, 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 pew. I don't know how much I care about flat Earth stuff.
Oh, it would just be fun to trigger them.
That's true. It is fun to chase them off every so often. I'm sure I'll get my opportunity when non-sec is back. I'm mad jelly about Dap's 5K. Hey, hell yeah, you right. Oh, yeah. I'm super jelly.
That's why you invaded my 5K special with your F-bombs.
Okay, but to be fair, fuck that guy.
I mean, yeah.
In my defense,
it was Jordan. Who has admitted to having some non-consensual encounters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The misconduct described in this court was objectively unreasonable and was undertaken intentionally, systematically, and with indifference to Hovind's constitutional rights. I mean, I'm reading this and I'm pretty indifferent to Hovind's constitutional rights.
Okay, so I'm not. I actually do think it's important that even dipshits like Kent Hovind get their rights that are protected by the government, because...
Yeah, sure, but I'm not American.
Well, the thing is, ultimately, no matter what government it is, once the government starts deciding that certain people just don't get rights because you don't like them, then there's nothing that stops that person from...
I'll put it this way. I would be less indifferent if I actually thought he had his rights violated.
Right, that's the thing. He didn't. He just thinks that his rights are other than what they actually are.
Right. He's just got this idea in his head that, like, I should be allowed to go to the Olympics. Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome to think it, but do you meet the criteria?
If not, then no. See you next 4 years.
Go get training. The misconduct. Good scrub. The misconduct described in this court was undertaken pursuant to the policy and practice of the U.S. Attorney's Office and the International Revenue Service, the IRS, as the manner is described more fully above. Yeah, whatever, dude. Equal protection. Plaintiff realleges incorporates the reference paragraphs 1 through 51 above, as described more fully above. Rogers, all while acting individually, jointly, and conspiracy, as well as... I don't think that's worded right, but okay.
It's not. It should be and as part of a conspiracy or conspiratorially or something like that.
Okay.
You can't just say and conspiracy like this.
It's just, I feel like I'm flubbing up more than I usually do reading this, and I'm starting to think it's not my fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I don't know if Kent Hovind is actually the one who typed this out. Whoever did that is the one who's flubbing this.
I like to think it was text-to-speech.
Oh, that could be fun. And then they didn't bother to check it. They were just like, it's good enough.
This is Kent Hovind's text-to-speech right here.
Although they do use a few things that make me wonder, because, like, I don't know how to use, like, the section symbol in text-to-speech.
Oh,
and they do use the section symbol all over the place.
Well, I mean, they had to go through and bold things and underline stuff and add quotation marks and... Alright, well, all while acting individually, jointly, in conspiracy, as well as under color of law and within the scope of Rogers' employment, denied plaintiff equal protection from the law in violation of constitutional rights. So, interestingly enough, what I might argue is Steve might have a case for this. Because I don't think the court has actually done its job in the non-sequitur case to protect Steve from Kyle.
There's certainly a fair argument to be made there. Yeah. I mean, there's been a whole lot of spoilage.
Yeah, there's been a whole lot of spoilage that's been allowed to go on for 2 years. They've given Kyle all the time in the world. They've allowed Kyle to slip through having to give the channel and the stuff over for, like, time and money. Like, this is, like, the non-sequitur show is still making a profit. It's still monetized. It's still all going to Kyle and has been for 2 years. Yep. Not that it's necessarily a lot. I have no idea how much it is.
Heck, I watched an episode on that the other day, and it played ads. It's still making money.
Yep. So there's also that Kyle has maliciously been trying to slander Steve during all of this and going out of his way to false DMCA strike his other channel using the Non Sequitur Show channel that he doesn't own. So, like, the court has done absolutely nothing to protect Steve over the course of giving Kyle more and more and more time. I feel like he should file a complaint upon the court, but I don't know about that.
I do think part of it might be that this is a fairly unusual case. Like, there has not been a whole lot of YouTube law out there. And so I think the court currently doesn't have, courts in general, I don't think currently have a lot of precedent and technique for dealing with.
If it was a physical business, it would have been dealt with by now. It would have been dealt with before COVID. The problem is like, it ought to have been dealt with before COVID, and it wasn't. And then COVID dragged it out, and then it got dragged out again, and again, and again. And so...
Well, when I steal the Seabad show, and Chesh sues me for all nothing that it's worth...
The memories!
I will make sure to drag it out for at least 2 years.
It's got emotional value.
Yeah. It's a good show, though. We do, like, at least one episode a year.
Yeah. Check it out. Specifically, Rogers actively participated in or personally caused misconduct in terms of abusing select people who are deemed in conflict with state and federal unconstitutional agendas to govern the American people beyond its constitutional authority, all done in a manner calculated to coerce, confuse, and secure unjust convictions. Said misconduct was motivated by adverse political animus and constituted purposeful discrimination and religious persecution. It also affects the masses by show of blast imprisonment, giving the max of 10-year sentence to Hovind, in a grossly disproportionate manner vis-a-vis sending a message to all observing Americans, just as practiced in communist China. The nail that sticks up gets hammered down, end quote.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so first of all, the whole... maximum sentence. So here are some ways to get a maximum sentence in a criminal case. Show no remorse. That's a big one. Show that you were willfully disobeying the law in complete disregard to the illegality of your actions. Have done that repeatedly, and then come up with the stupidest defense imaginable, that you don't understand what's happening after it's been explained to you several times. All of that combined is a great recipe for getting maximum sentence. I'm
kind of hoping that Kent Hovind will write one of these for Kyle while Kyle's in jail. Mr. Fibble says Chesh should be one of the show's moderators instead of Kyle when the Non Sequitur show starts up again.
Someone's out of the loop.
You should go tell Steve that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, God, Jesus, there's a little bit of funny drama that somebody's been trying to bring up recently, trying to like sass that. So that makes that a little. I don't know if Mr. Fibble knows about that, but I'm probably gonna do another Oxygen Not Included stream, and I'll chat about that a little bit then if you guys remind me, because it's just funny.
I think we should start a petition to make sure that Chesh gets a blue wrench on Non Sequitur show. What do you guys think?
Just God damn it. No, actually, I never did have a wrench on the show. I only had I was a moderator in the Discord because Kyle made me a moderator.
Justice for Chesh.
Yeah. The misconduct described in this... Okay, listen. There's like a couple things in here that I think is like... We didn't actually touch on what this paragraph said.
That's true, we didn't.
What did she do? There's nothing in the first paragraph 1 to 51 that actually described what she did.
She just was the judge while all these unjust, horrible things were happening. That's it. That's the entirety of it, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Oh, and she gave him the maximum sentence, which, hey, guess what? The reason it's the maximum is because you're allowed to give it. Otherwise, it would be above the maximum.
And there's also, like, a big, giant question mark over this judge allowed people to tell me what I was being convicted of, and that was them lying and presenting false testimony. No, they're telling you what you're being charged with. That's not false testimony, dumbass.
Right. The thing you're charged with, even if you didn't do it, the judge telling people that that's the charge, that's not false testimony. Like, think about that. If that were the case, every time anyone was ever acquitted of a crime, they could then successfully sue the judge for having told people what they were charged with.
Listen, we can't literally touch on this paragraph. You literally can't touch it. You can only lightly press it.
I can touch it on my screen. I just did.
You can't literally, though.
Oh.
Literally.
Should I boop the paragraph?
Boop the paragraph! The misconduct described in this court by Rogers was objectively unreasonable and was undertaken intentionally with willful indifference to the plaintiff's constitutional rights. The misconduct described in this court was undertaken pursuant of policy practice of Rogers with the... Why is with bold?
Because they selected too much and then hit the bold button and never noticed. Oh, hey. Apparently Who Killed Captain Alex has been uploaded on YouTube for free.
Oh, nice. The U.S. Attorney's Office and the International Revenue Service in this manner described more fully above. It was the policy and or custom of Rogers to fail to exercise reasonable care administration officers' conduct, including all defendants, thereby failing to adequately prevent constitutional violations on the part of policy as acting in direct violation in plain view of the Fourth Amendment Bill of Rights as afforded to a man and man's entities, property / creation, science, whatever. As a result of the above described policies and customs of Rogers, all other defendants believed that their actions would not be reported by Rogers' administrative governance, and the such misconduct would not be investigated or sanctioned, but would in fact be tolerated, encouraged, and financially rewarded. Financially rewarded?
I really do think that Kent Hovind might think that the way it works is that prosecutors and judges just get money when they get convictions.
I almost think that he thinks that the people that he lost to get to keep his property and money that was seized.
Yeah, I like
the individuals.
Smitty's summary of Kent's position is, the law doesn't exist except to protect me from itself. Yes, that is the only purpose of the law as far as Kent Hovind seems.
That's actually really, yeah, that's it. You got it. Oh my god. Financially rewarded, though? You'd have to show that.
Yep. I mean, you can allege anything, but if this were to actually make it to court, you would have to be like, here's how I know.
Spoilers.
Because this is one of the things, like, I'd say things like, oh, you can't sue the judge for this, and what I mean is, it's always going to get tossed out. However, it is the case that in the U.S., you can essentially file a lawsuit against anyone for anything at any time.
Yeah. It just doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere.
Right. Now, one thing that judges can do is if they find that you're just too frivolously litigious, they can actually put sanctions on you so that any lawsuit that you file has to be reviewed by, like, low-level people in the court before they'll actually pass it on and let it actually be filed, which means that a lot of them are just going to get tossed back because you're doing frivolous lawsuits. It's very rarely used, but I think Kent Hovind might be a candidate for sanctions from a judge. Be like, no, you have to stop wasting the court's time with this. From now on, my law clerk is going to read your lawsuits.
If he files another one, that's probably what's going to happen.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, it would be reasonable, and I don't think you'd be able to argue against it. The above described policies and customs demonstrated by Rogers is a deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of free, independent men like plaintiff in America lands. I thought you said you weren't part of America.
Yeah. Are you on American land or not? Pick a lane, dude.
And were much of the underlying cause of the violations of plaintiff's rights alleged herein. I really hope the judge got to read this, like, at home to their family and, like, their children while they were sitting, like, you know, at Christmas time when everybody gathers around and they're, like, eating popcorn and candies and... So in 105, this guy says... 14. State-created danger. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 51 above. Defendant Rogers is liable for the policy and custom of allowing officers and agents to seize people and property and prosecute without oaths or affirmation in the official records complaint to the Fourth Amendment as such was established in the year of 1971 Bill of Rights. Defendant Rogers being accustomed in doing said acts without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE was qualified, eligible, or or had a legal duty to obtain an EIN and withhold any taxes for the United States of America. I'm pretty sure that they were fine.
Yeah.
Defendant Rogers being accustomed in doing said acts without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE was doing any business in land where the legislative authority reaches, limited in Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17 of the Constitution for the United States is associated with each charge against Hovind in 2006. But you just said up here that you were in America. In American lands.
Yeah. So again, that's just the sovereign citizen nonsense. That's like, unless it's actually like a military base or like a federal courthouse or like a national monument or just the city of DC, it doesn't count as land.
I mean,
of the United
it
States.
seems like it just counts when it's convenient.
Yeah, it's when it's convenient for Kent.
All right. Defendant
Like,
Rogers
if someone violated federal law and he was the victim and it was at his house, you absolutely can bet that he would be A-okay with them being prosecuted under the federal law. And many times, the same act can be a violation of federal and state law. So, for instance, if someone kidnapped Kent Hovind, brought him across a state line, well, guess what? You just broke 2 state laws, at least, and a federal law. And my guess is that Kent Hovind would be A-okay with both states and the federal government prosecuting that person.
Yep.
But maybe we should try it and find out. No, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Hovind, just to, do not. Here's what I'm saying. Do not, and I'm not being facetious. Do not commit crimes against Hovind to test the consistency of his legal theory. That will go badly for you.
Poor life decisions.
Yes.
Don't be like Kent.
It would be funny, but no, not worth it.
It would be funny to bring against Kent Hovind like his own fucking paperwork. If he tried to charge you, to be like, no, you can't because you said this. Don't tase me, bro. I'm actually kind of waiting for that. For anybody who isn't filled in on Non Sequitur Show stuff, Kyle has been served by the sheriff of his local area. I'll probably have to do an update on that, but I'm going to probably wait until we're closer to that. So I'm going to wait till next week. So that way we can see what's happened and then the hearing will happen and we can all wait with bated breath for Kyle to not show up again. But I'm still holding out for tickets to Mexico. So now that he's been served again, if he doesn't show up, it looks like they will issue an arrest warrant. Now, how funny would it be if he gets tased and we get body cam footage of that? I would think it was funny.
I mean, hey, look, if that happens and then you're looking for evidence in favor of theism, I mean, not the worst evidence of theism.
Yeah. There's also there have been a couple people who have speculated that Kyle may or may not be on some kind of illicit drugs, and would it not be very unfortunate for Kyle if they showed up at his house with an arrest warrant and found drugs?
Oh man, that would be rough.
That would be rough. That would be rough if that were the case. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying some people have suggested it, and if that were the case, that would be pretty rough.
Yeah, we're just asking questions here.
I don't know. There's another YouTuber that may or may not be facing charges for their online behavior recently.
I could think of a few people that could fit that description.
Right? I ain't giving out any hints. We'll talk about that later. Like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications for when I'm talking about more of this nonsense.
Are your kids in danger of drowning this very minute? Find out at 10.
More at 11. Okay, also, by the way, double check your subscribable buttons because, I don't know, I got subs from Dapper's channel. I got a wrench over there, so I don't know.
Yeah, you were in there with the wrench, unsubscribed. I'm like, how is that even, what?
How did this happen?
And now you show up on my recent subscribers list.
Yeah. Defendant Rogers being accustomed to blah, 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 blah. Defendant Rogers being accustomed to doing such acts without first evidencing, since 2006. Defendant Rogers being accustomed to, in doing said acts without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE had any legal or contractual duty with any withholding for the defendant. Okay. No. Defendant Rogers even took aggressive measures to assure evidence did not get before the jury that Hovind or CSE had no evidence of any legal or contractual duty associated with any withholdings from any of the listed defendants. Now, I'm pretty sure that's him referring to when he said that a judge threatened his defense lawyer to be like, shut up. Because his defense was garbage.
Could be it.
I think that's what he said earlier. Like when we talked about it last time, he described the situation. The situation was like, "Hey, listen, there's you're saying that your defense is you didn't know. Yeah, stop saying that, or like I'm going to toss you out of my room or something like that."
Yeah.
Which isn't aggressive measures. That's normal. And didn't he say that the defense was also working with the judge against him? Like, didn't Ken say that?
Yes.
So why would she do that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That doesn't make any sense.
It does not.
Defendant Rogers even took blah, 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 blah. Malicious prosecution. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference paragraph 1 through 51 above. Defendant Rogers as liable for the policy and customs allowing the officers agents under Rogers to maliciously prosecute Hovind and ministries such as CSE, which has gone back to not being bold. Defendant Rogers being...
figure that one out.
Listen, look at this. Not bold, not bold, not bold, bold, bold.
Yeah, Hovind isn't always bold. CSE isn't always bold.
Not
they
bold,
have Agenda
bold.
O down here.
I hate everything. I hate everything about this. Infuriates me. This is a conspiracy to drive the judge insane to just give him back everything so he goes away.
Get an editor, man. Which reminds me, I might end up editing for someone else's YouTube channel coming up.
That's
here.
exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's actually someone whose work I've featured in my YouTube channel. So, if you look at the musical number that's in one of my Speculative Evolution videos, that's the person who did the music for that is the person whose YouTube channel I might be editing for.
Defendant Rogers being accustomed in allowing and bringing multiple fatal tidal waves of force against plaintiffs such as Hovind. Who else?
I'm gonna Google fatal tidal waves with a TITLE. Maybe that's
fatal
a thing.
tidal waves of force against plaintiffs such as Hovind. That sounds like something like a bard would do. That's like a ripoff of like the tidal wave spell, but it's just like a bunch of words.
So Google just thinks that I'm misspelling tidal.
Oh wow!
That's
who would have thought?
This is not a real term. Because you know what? Look, sometimes there's really weird, like, legal terms. Like, there's, like, the fertile toddler. That's a legal term. You have to learn it in, like, inheritance law.
Oh.
And it's exactly what you think of. What if there's a toddler that has kids? And the law's like, that's a thing you have to consider for some stupid reason.
Oh, sure, why not?
Yeah, because the law is always smart.
In doing acts of prosecution without first evidencing if Hovind or CSE was even formally charged or even being subject to charge written laws. What the that's not a real sentence. Americans have never consented to unjust force upon the weak in our society. Yeah, you have. Shut up.
Yeah, that's a weird statement. Hey, Ken, have you ever heard of this thing called slavery?
Have you heard of this thing called history?
Right. It's just like, come on, dude.
That's not even close to the... You don't even have to go, like, immediately to African American slavery. You can go to anybody from Ireland.
Yeah, that's true.
That was pretty rough, too.
Actually, in the South, the Irish were often given the slaves that people didn't want to... Or sorry, the Irish were often given the jobs that people didn't want to give to the slaves. Because if the Irishman falls off your roof and dies, you just don't have to pay him. If your slave falls off your roof and dies, well, now you're out an entire slave. That's valuable. So, Yeah.
Yeah, this
It was rough in many cases to be
ever
Irish.
seen the movie Gangs of New York?
I wonder why all the Irish people felt like they had to be in gangs instead of conducting legitimate business. Oh, because they were basically barred from legitimate business. Oh, yeah.
Americans have never consented to unjust force upon the weak in our society by any government, especially by the most powerful one in the world. What's the wage gap at right now? I don't think
Or hey, how about all those forced relocations of Native Americans all over the place?
What about Puerto Rico right now?
Yeah. They're still barely recovered with their energy grid being back from like a hurricane like 2 years ago.
And like their lack of statehood.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they only did just recently finally get a ballot initiative passed to even request it.
Right?
So, for most of Puerto Rico's history as part of the United States, they were having referenda on whether or not the voters wanted statehood, and they said no each time. So, I mean, if the people in a territory don't want to be a state, do you force them?
Yeah, but it was like, are you or are you not taking advantage of that?
The answer is yes on both sides.
Yeah.
People in Puerto Rico are taking advantage of that status, and the United States
Hey,
taking
listen,
advantage of that status.
never consented. I don't know what to tell you. It is charged by plaintiff that the event was Rogers' agenda of religious persecution and unconstitutional state expansion. I would love to see any demonstration of the religious persecution part.
Yeah, you could, like, there's nothing attached here. There's there's no footnote that says like see attachment B or something. That would be like some statement by Rogers.
Yeah. I am skipping over unlawful seizure and armed robbery and coercive power. Coercive power.
Yeah, we've already heard.
And because this is all now, so we're actually going to jump ahead now because this is all the stuff we read about the United States. He's just applying it to the judge, which is kind of absurd. Yeah. And then down here, you'll see it changes to the U.S. attorney, former U.S. attorney, an individual, which they didn't space down. I hate this so much. And so do you want to give us over who this was again?
So this is the district attorney that says John David Roy Atchison, an individual former U.S. attorney. So as far as I know, and I'll double check because I want to make sure that I get this right. That's the John Atchison, right? Yeah.
John David Roy Atchison. I think he was the prosecutor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the one who was arrested on suspicion of soliciting sex with a very underage girl.
Dr. Kent Hovind in the side chat says, "Listen, honey, it's not too late for you. You have demons in your brain, but some of my DVDs can help you be saved."
So, okay.
Send me a copy.
Great. So I have an after show coming up for the Kent Hovind debate that's supposed to be going on right now, and which I'm actually going to have to leave to go watch on fast forward in about 20 minutes. But
yeah, we'll be done by then.
In the after show, I linked to Dr. Dan's channel, but guess which Kent Hovind channel I linked to?
That one? This one? Yay! Yep. I approve of this. Okay, so John David Roy Atchison is was the prosecutor in Kent's case, and he charges him with all of the same shit that we just covered for the judge and for the United States, so it's all the same. Then it jumps to Michelle Heldermeyer, who was another prosecutor. There were two prosecutors, if I'm not mistaken, because it says the U.S. attorney.
Yeah.
Same stuff. Malicious prosecution, unlawful seizure, armed robbery.
Yeah.
This is not how any of this works.
Scott Schneider is a IRS
yeah, so the investigator is getting charged now with false imprisonment, as if it's the investigator's fault.
Yeah, so the great thing there is, like, the investigator's just like, hey, here's what I found. And then they just go walk away. They have no, like, they might be called as a witness or something, but, like, they have no choice as to whether or not charges are pursued, as to whether or not a warrant is anyone gets a warrant, as to whether or not anyone is searched.
What the prosecution is. They have no say in how the court behaves. None of that. The only thing you might be able to get them, armed robbery, you might be able to get them on if they lied to the court about what they had found. But that would be perjury, and none of this stuff. Perjury is not even in here.
No. Yeah, well, that's the crazy thing. Like, you could at least allege that well, I guess he kind of is applying some amount of perjury, but, like, you could state it. You could be like, hey, when this person said this in the trial, because, transcripts are available.
Yeah.
That was a lie, and here's how I know. Like, you could do this in the complaint.
Alan Stewart Ritchie, which is the Washington State Defense Counsel. So this is the guy that Kent Hovind hired.
Yep.
Who he is charging with false imprisonment.
All the same shit. You'd think he would come up with something new for his own lawyer.
Malicious prosecution. How are you charging the guy you got to defend you of unlawful seizure and armed robbery?
Oh, and he's accusing him of knowingly accepting benefits from unconstitutional behavior. So apparently, Kent Hovind's defense attorney was on the take.
Yeah.
He apparently got some cut of that $52,000 that was taken from the CSE safe.
Apparently. Allegedly.
According to Kent. Oh.
Count 60. Oh, no. Prayer for relief. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Wherefore. So, yeah, all of this was just repeated for the United States of America, 2 lawyers that were the prosecutors, his own defense lawyer.
And the investigator. Right.
I keep forgetting about the investigator because he just, one of these things is not like the others. One of these things just wasn't in court. One of these things. All right. Defendant, count 60, defendant United States of America, plaintiff realleges blah, 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 blah. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff Kent E. Hovind and CSE, both not bold this time, request that the court grant them the following relief. This is going to be good. This is jointly and severely against the named defendants. 1. Judgment for compensatory damages.
Compensatory.
I can't read today. How dare you? Compensatory damages against all defendants in an amount to be determined at trial. Declaration that the conduct and actions against the plaintiff carried out by the U.S. Treasury Department, the U.S. State's Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Bureau of Prisons be declared unconstitutional. That's a big ask.
Yeah. Plus, here's the thing, right? It's not impossible for a lower court to declare something unconstitutional, but usually that's basically Hovind saying, oh, this is going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, which, no, it's not.
No.
It's, spoiler alert, this isn't making it to the Supreme Court.
The U.S. Treasury Department, the U.S. United States Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, their employees and agents, including but not limited to the defendants named in this action, be enjoined from further implementation of unconstitutional practices and policies.
So he wants the entire way the justice system in the United States of America just overhauled.
Big words for a go in with a 62 IQ is hard. Yeah, listen. I'm having a time. I can't read today. Chesh every day. I'm being slayed by my own chat. Ugh.
We're gonna report you for harassment.
No! Judge Margaret Catherine Rogers' conduct in suppressing plaintiff's testimony and sentencing plaintiff Hovind to be prisoned be declared unconstitutional. So does she have to, go on the news?
I'm sure Hovind would accept that as part of this. I'm sure he'd be like, yeah, that works.
The actions of defendants jointly and severely be declared unconstitutional. Plaintiff Hovind's conviction and sentence be vacated in the interest of justice. Sanctions against various defendants.
So when he says that the conviction and sentence be vacated, basically what it means is that it's erased off of his record, and it essentially as far as the law is concerned, he never actually committed a crime that he was convicted of. Now, he can't get back that 9-ish years or so that he was in prison.
All right.
But it would also clear up there are some legal penalties that go on essentially for your life with being a felon. So those would be lifted. There is some reason to do this.
Sanctions against various defendants. Compensatory damages for pain, suffering, stress, humiliation, and mental anguish. Punitive damages. Attorney's fees, interest, and costs of suit, and as well as any other relief the court deems appropriate. You know, okay, this wasn't as bad as I thought. The most ridiculous thing was, I want you to rewrite the entire Constitution for me.
Basically.
Jury demand. Plaintiffs Kent E. Hovind, which is half bold. It's gotten worse. I didn't think it could get any worse. I thought we were gonna be done with the word "if" being with being bolded, and I was like, oh, okay, no problem, fine. Not half of Kent E. Hovind being bold.
And they also didn't bold "and," which means they made like a conscious choice here, which is the baffling part to me. Someone sat here and they were like, yeah, Hovind capitalized, CSE
it's
capitalized.
It's not even like it's right there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not bolded there. I was gonna use the excuse that maybe they used the find key and they looked for Hovind and bolded all the Hovind, because you can do that, but not all of the Hovinds are bold.
Yeah,
I hate
really
everything.
Weird.
I hate everything. I hate it all. Okay. Kent E. Hovind and CSE. Okay, the only way this gets worse if half of CSE is bolded at some point. I will flip the table. I will throw something. I don't know what. Maybe this jar of peanut butter. I haven't decided. Hereby demands that their/its rights to trial by jury, where no administrative dismissal is allowed and all the facts and law are determined by the majority vote of impartial jurors with no alliance, contracts, oaths,
remuneration.
What?
Remuneration.
Remunerate, what's that mean?
It's when you get back something that was owed to you that someone was kind of like not giving back.
Oh, like
getting it back.
Like, oh, okay, like a favor.
Kind of.
To/from/with either party, which is likewise to enumerate in Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 38B on all issues so triable as Kent E. Hovind again and CSE have no evidenced residency or domicile in the land of the United States as to be established as to establishing the law of this case or of the case. So what? You don't live in MERICA?
I mean, that's essentially what he's claiming.
I'm pretty sure Florida is MERICA.
Yeah. So there is an addendum. Do you want to read the?
Yeah, we'll get there. Hold on. Before we do that, though, didn't he complain at the beginning of this that the jury was also against him?
I think he complained that they were given improper instruction. I'm not sure if he complained. Against them.
And then wasn't there a one where the jury had to be tossed because somebody was like a big Kent Hovind fan that was on the jury?
Oh, so there was one that was a hung jury, so they couldn't actually secure it. So essentially it's a mistrial at that point. And that was because one person was refusing to convict because they were a big Hovind fan, and then the state opted not to retry. So when there's a hung jury or a mistrial, what ends up happening is like you basically get a mulligan. You start back over, you do discovery all over again, a new trial takes place, new jury selection, usually I think it's always a new judge. The whole thing starts over again if the plaintiff or the prosecution wants that to be the thing that happens. In this case, the prosecution.
They didn't bother.
Yeah, they were just like, you know what? He's already in prison. The mail fraud thing, we'll add a couple years, who cares? We'll just let him stay in prison for his current sentence.
Helios for 5 says, little known fact, before stream, Chesh has people read the things to her and she memorizes it to hide the fact that she can't actually read. Trigglypuff.
Can't confirm. Yeah,
I mean, confirm. To be fair, that would be kind of impressive on its own.
Yeah, it's good memory. Bad reading skills.
Athens says, it'd be funny if the non sequitur showcase went to the Supreme Court and then Kyle will be noticed. The thing, I don't think it would go to the Supreme Court. It is going to the DA, from my understanding. The perjury charges have to.
So generally, it really can't go to the Supreme Court because this is a civil case in a local...
There's no constitutional issues. There's nothing to take to the Supreme Court.
Technically, constitutional issues aren't the only things the Supreme Court takes a hold of, but in terms of private citizens, yeah, that's usually the only thing they take up. But basically, in order for it to get to the Supreme Court, it has to go into a federal court first, and then it has to be allowed to be appealed over and over and over again, with it going against Kyle, but him successfully appealing every time until it hits the Supreme Court. Unless, for some reason, which they can do, after getting to a federal court, the Supreme Court decides to just pick it up and be like, nope, this is ours now. Which they can do, they just don't usually.
I wouldn't be surprised to see something more along the lines of, like, some media outlets pick it up. Because, like, a dude is going to jail for YouTube.
And depending on exactly
like, there's a story there.
Well, and we did the math on, like, the expected number of counts of perjury and, like, sentences and stuff. He's probably looking at least a decade or so in prison if he's convicted on all those.
And that's the when it jumps to criminal court. Like, this is going from, oh, here's a civil lawsuit, some dumb YouTube stuff, to he's going to prison, and now it's a criminal lawsuit. What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Well, we gotta get to these addenda because I gotta get going pretty soon.
Yeah, let's get this done. There's the notary garbage, terms, blah, 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 blah. Addendum. Okay, 5/15/2020. CSE trustee and longtime friend Paul Hansen, whatever, asked me today what damages were done to me and the CSE ministry as a result of the unlawful actions of the defendant in this case and how much compensation is justified. That is a soul-searching question. As the damages done by a drunk driver causing an accident that kills a man's family and puts him in a wheelchair for life cannot ever be repaid, there is no amount of money that will ever fix the damages done to me, my family, and the CSE ministries. I have a question. Has Ken Hovind done a single thing to attempt to rectify his relationships with his family, like by not being a dick to them?
He tried to sue his son.
He still ignores his other son entirely.
Yeah, it doesn't, even in these legal documents, doesn't even mention him.
I'm gonna give another props to Eric Hovind. Good job, buddy. Brofist.
Yeah, getting that guy out of your life was...
Yeah, and your family's lives. Good job.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do, but my goodness, was it probably one of the best things you've ever done.
Obviously, there was great damage done to my good name and my reputation, so an open public apology from each of the defendants would be a great place to start, but I hold no hope of that happening. You're a man of God, just forgive it, man. Let God sort him out. That's the shtick, isn't it? People who do these things to innocent people certainly should not have a badge or authority to represent our great country. Oh, you mean people who are like dirty cops shouldn't be...
I mean, that's fair. Dirty cops shouldn't represent the country.
Yeah. I gave my heart to the Lord Jesus Christ in 1969, haha, 69, when I was 16, and have sought to please and obey him ever since. I know, Puck. I was receiving about 30 invitations a week to travel and preach all over the world. This case destroyed my good name and effectiveness to spread the gospel. What is that worth? ? I'll let the jury pick a number. My wife Jo and I were childhood sweethearts, married in 1973. We're both virgins on our honeymoon. I don't need to know this. We're
you didn't
loyal
want the
to
inside scoop on Kent's sex life.
We're loyal to each other for 43 years. In July 13th, arrest was the day before our July 14th anniversary, likely conveniently planned by some of the defendants. Okay, and now we've jumped the shark.
Yeah, I'm sure they checked into your marital history, Kent, to check when your anniversary was. Why would they just put it on your anniversary at that point?
We had 3 children and 5 grandchildren, all serving the Lord with us in the ministry. Oh, hey, he counted his other son this time.
Yeah, weird how he never mentions him.
Weird. She is 5 feet tall. Why? Is this important?
Is this her new dating profile, Kent?
She is 5 feet tall, the church pianist, and a music teacher, and is the least dangerous person on the planet. That's probably why she only got a year in prison and you got 10.
Oh.
She was arrested at gunpoint in bed and was not allowed to get dressed or go to the bathroom. I mean, it's not like she was naked. What's the first thing you want to do when you get up? She was taken in handcuffs to the courthouse in her nightgown. Due to her being terrorized by the entire ordeal, she soon stopped writing to me or visiting me in prison. Yeah, it's definitely because of that. Definitely not because you're a douche.
Yeah.
Upon my release from prison, she made me sleep in a separate room until she filed for divorce. Oh no. Florida is a no contest state, and the divorce court hearing lasted 6 minutes. Good for her.
Ouch. Ouch.
Listen, so what was he gonna do? Say, like, no, you can't divorce me because I didn't cheat on you, even though I cheated everyone else around me and probably lied to you about exactly what I was doing, which is why you only got 1 year and I got 10?
By all accounts, he was the guy who thought up the whole not paying payroll taxes and structuring scheme that she then went along with. So ultimately, I mean, sure, Joe Hovind bears some blame here.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a reason that she got way less. It's because Kent more or less was...
Kent was doing everything and she was just a byproduct.
Oh, I doubt she was just a byproduct, because if you look...
No, like, that's the way the
Kent
court
Hovind's-
was
Oh, yeah.
looking at it, not
But, I mean,
that she
if you
was
look
or
at
wasn't. Yeah.
Kent Hovind's statements about how a marriage should work,
Mhm.
it's very patriarchal, and I have trouble imagining that he wasn't saying things like, look, this is what we're going to do because I'm the man of the house and you're the woman and you have to submit to me.
Well,
and
he
she was like, yeah,
he
okay.
brags about beating Eric, so who's to say he wasn't hitting his wife too, sort of thing? So
Well, I will say this. He has a whole lot of ex-partners now. And as far as I know, none of them have accused him of physical abuse.
that's fair. That is fair.
So, I
But
doubt
has
that it would've
Eric?
stopped with his wife.
Has Eric accused him
Well-
of physical abuse?
I feel like it's more likely for some of his ex-partners, given how short some of those relationships were, that they would come forward with those allegations. Because, like,
Yeah,
look,
fair.
you're sleeping with someone for, like, 3 months, and then she leaves because she says you're a terrible person. But when asked, is like, oh, never mentions that you hit her. Like,
There's also the argument that, oh, well, they left before things escalated to that. Whereas
Maybe.
she was married to him a lot longer. I
just
don't
say
know.
that-
I'm not saying he did. I'm just sort of expounding on like what are we like? How much
It's
control
not
did she actually have in her
Yeah.
life, and that she like you know what I mean? And we don't know. The answer is we don't know. It's just
Yeah.
speculation.
Probably less than she should have, but
Yeah.
I'm not quite willing to jump to the point of he was probably beating her. I have no evidence of that.
Yeah. There's also like more than one kind of abuse, right?
Oh,
so
I'm sure there
you've
was
got like
going
so much shit. So it's like who's to say, right? Like I'm not doing the math to find out how old they were at the time when they got married and shit and whatever.
Oh, I'm sure Kent will tell you.
Plot
Kent's
twist:
feeling-
she was beating him.
I mean, I doubt that too, but
That's how like this is how seriously I'm taking this speculation, right? It's like we don't know. She was taken away again, blah 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 blah. The court lasted 6 minutes. Good for her. On the way out of court, I asked her to marry me again. You're an idiot. What? She, afraid of the defendant's further action against me, said no and has not talked to me since. Will you marry me? No, I think you're gonna keep committing crime.
So here's the great thing. If that's the last time you ever talked to her, how does she know what her motive was for saying no?
I don't know. He doesn't. He's speculating.
Yeah.
Because it can't
maybe
be
he's
his
like
own responsibility. It can't be his own fault. It has to be a conspiracy. What is the cost one can put on the defendant's evil actions that broke up a loving marriage? Listen, if God was gonna have his way, you guys would still be together. Leave this poor woman alone. How can anyone put a dollar figure on that? $50? $100? I would probably pay Kent $50 to leave me alone, yes.
Yeah.
Certainly punitive damages to teach them not to do this again to anyone are in order. Okay. I can only show why only effectual punitive damages can curtail such a lawless conspiracy conspiring behavior, I can ask the jury for prayerfully, Jesus, decide this. I raised my 3 children in the church ministry, and they all lived around me and worked beside me every day. I helped my son Eric go to Bible college to study to be a creation science evangelist like me, and upon his graduation, he began helping me take some of the hundreds of requests I was getting to go preach at churches and schools. I helped him build his house 2 doors down from us, and his 3 children were the most loved grandchildren on the planet. Is that you have a way to measure that? I read them to sleep every night before my arrest. I wrote 15 books for them while I was in prison. We were a very close, loving family. I helped my daughter Marlissa go to college and to be one of my secretaries to handle the hundreds of phone calls I get. 'Cause of course you made your daughter be a secretary while Eric got to go and talk to people, you fucking asshole.
Here's something a little weird. The footage of Kent Hovind performing his daughter's marriage is available on YouTube.
Oh.
Because he takes a phone call during it.
Oh. What a dick.
Yep, and now he brags that clip was shown on America's Funniest Home Videos several times.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Sorry,
okay.
Marlissa.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you.
I wonder when is it going to get to the part where how he helped his son Kent Jr. I want to know how he helped Kent Jr. because we haven't done that yet.
We'll see if we get there. She worked in our ministries for the time from the time she was a child. So child labor noted. She asked me to perform her wedding, which I was honored to do. It has been played over 50 times on America's Funniest Home Videos. Please watch Dr. Hovind's daughter's wedding and see what a lovely, loving family we were. Well, everybody, if you're interested, and see, oh God, she and her husband lived next door also. Due to the actions of the defendants, she and my son Eric are still to this day terrorized by the events and people surrounding the case and are afraid to be associated with me, their own father. No, I think that's just because of you. Neither they nor the grandkids have ever come to visit me in the 5 years since I've been in Lenox, Alabama?
Yeah.
Well, he moved to Alabama. Would you want Uncle Kent over hanging out in Alabama? Would you want to go visit?
Grandpa Kent.
Whatever. Doesn't matter what he is.
Although, to be fair, Lenox is like 20 minutes from Pensacola. Because Pensacola is on the Panhandle. So basically you just drive north a little bit and you're in Pensacola.
Yeah. Just 70 miles away.
Yeah. So
in spite of my repeated invitations, and they never call or invite me to family events in Pensacola. I wonder why. Leave these poor people alone, you crazy person. What is the dollar figure on the damages done to destroy a loving Christian family, all simply working hard to spread the word of God? What would you want if they did this to you? I'm sorry, I can't put a price on that. I'll let the jury decide. How about maybe just fix it yourself, since you ruined it yourself? Damages to the Creation Ministry. Our CSE ministry was producing videos and books that were reaching people worldwide in 42 languages. The records show that the ministry was bringing in about 2.5 million per year and growing by 1 to 2 million per year when I was arrested. That loss of revenue would be about 70 million so far and climbing every year. My health is great, and I think I'll preach another 20 years. Praying my ministry outreach via DVD and books would continue for many years. In addition, our ministry was inspiring scores of others to go out and do likewise. I'm sorry, but I can't put a dollar value on the souls lost for eternity due to the defendant's actions to destroy the ministry of God. So, God can't save those souls now?
Also, I do want to point out, the 42 languages is a little bit iffy. So, in many cases, he would sell DVDs that would say subtitles in these languages, and then underneath it would say something like partial subtitles in these languages. And so you would, it's like, oh, you speak Lithuanian? Well, our video is 20% subtitled in Lithuanian, and it's like, gee, thanks. What am I supposed to do with that? So yeah, it's a little bit misleading to say 42 languages, but
most
hey, that
of
is a
this most of this is misleading. Although I can sympathize with having something that's projected to do so well and is doing so well and then losing all of it. Maybe you shouldn't done illegal shit though. I might actually feel a little bit like you would deserve something if you didn't fuck it up yourself. This is just like feeling bad for Kyle to be like, I was making and projecting to do so well. Damn you, Steve. Vince for conspiring against me to make me steal from you.
You feel bad for him the way that you feel bad for the protagonist of a Greek tragedy, where it's like, this is all your own damn fault, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. The hubris of man.
Yeah, exactly. There's this thing, it's called hubris. Don't do that.
Through our preaching and teaching at schools, churches, radio, debates, at universities, etc., many thousands were coming to the Lord and being strengthened in their faith of God, infallible word each year. Hey, you notice how he did not talk about his third child?
Yeah, again.
Yeah. And also, we're back to, hey, Kent, if you want to rebuild your popularity, you need to show up. I was getting hundreds of invitations.
He did show up tonight.
Oh, good. I was getting hundreds of invitations. 1 out of 3, I guess. I was getting hundreds of invitations each year to preach. I preached in all 50 states and well over 30 foreign countries. Since my return from prison, this has dropped to near zero. The effectiveness of gospel outreach was stopped. Only Satan or one of his helpers would want this to happen. So
Satan is in charge of the IRS.
Wait, did he just out himself as a follower of Satan? Since he's the one who did this?
Well, okay. In his mind, I think he's accusing the IRS of being satanic.
Yeah, probably. And the court, or America. I don't know. Somebody has to ask him next time they're on, hey, listen, you said that only Satan would want this. Who are you saying is the Satan in this scenario? In 2006, when the arrest took place, the CSE Ministries had property and equipment valued at about $3 million. A sworn itemized list will be available for the court's evidence. That all disappeared due to the illegal actions of the defendants in this case. Whoops, Freudian slip. It was all actually illegal. Based on my 51-year track record of giving everything to the Lord's work, which is why you had money taken from you, because you gave it to the Lord.
Well, in court, he did claim that was God's money, and that's why he didn't know taxes on it.
That's not how that works. I know that whatever damages the jury awards will go back into the gospel ministry to win souls and spread his word, and then date signed. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if they just gave it to, like, any random church?
That's never going to happen. It's all going to go into a bank account that Ken Hovind has access to.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if the court decided, like, tell you what, you're right about this money, it should go back into services to God, and then he's standing there with his hands open, like a sad boy with his floral print Hawaii shirt, and then they just reach past him to give it to, like, a Muslim church.
Yeah, as long as it's something he hates, like a mosque or, like, I don't know, a Catholic church. Well, no, I don't want to go into a Catholic church. Something that he also hates, but that's less abusey.
I don't know, but here's some, like, references to Bible verses and Deuteronomy and Exodus and other nonsense. Yeah. This is the addendum is all nonsense.
We read over the very short order that the court filed.
Yes. Do you have that? I don't have that.
I do. I will link that to you.
Yes.
So
and then there's here's like some of the screenshots of other nonsense.
So you want me to start on this one, or?
Yeah. Did you send it to me so I can show it to the outside?
Yeah. So it starts out as this is Hovind, blah blah blah, and this is from the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida, Pensacola Division. Okay. This case is before the court based on magistrate judge's report and recommendation, document 24, and plaintiff's objection, document 30. The court reviewed the issues raised in the objections de novo as required by federal RCIV, whatever, whole bunch of numbers, section 636B1, and based on that review, the court agrees with the magistrate judge's determination that this case is due to be dismissed for reasons articulated in the report and recommendation. Indeed, the objections demonstrate the frivolous and delusional nature of this suit, when among other things, they assert that Plaintiff Hovind and his ministry were beyond the jurisdiction of the United States, and that the obligation to pay income taxes is tantamount to being conscripted into involuntary servitude as a tax collector for the United States. Accordingly, it is ordered that 1. The magistrate judge's report and recommendation is adopted and incorporated by reference in this order. 2. the defendant's motion to dismiss is granted. 3, all claims in the Second Amendment complaint are dismissed with prejudice, and the clerk shall close the case file. So, by the way, with prejudice means he's not allowed to refile.
He is not allowed to file again.
Yeah.
Kent Hovind has lost his case against the United States and all of those defendants and cannot file any of this again on any of those people nor the United States. Yay!
Yay!
This isn't fair.
Also,
this is so much easier to read and formatted.
Also, I'm just going to say, anytime that the judge says that your complaint is frivolous and delusional, that's a rough day.
Frivolous? Okay, indeed the objections demonstrate the frivolous and delusional nature of the suit. And then also that was beyond jurisdiction and that the obligation to pay income tax is tantamount to being conscripted into involuntary servitude. God, that's short, sweet, and brutal.
All right, unfortunately, I gotta get going because I have to listen to this debate so that I can be competent to hold an after show.
Yeah, so go over to Dapper's channel for the after show. Put your link in the chat, Dapper, and everybody. We will.
I will try.
Hopefully, we will see everybody over there. Puck is freaking out. I have to go take him outside because he's being a giant wiener face.
Aw, poor Puck.
Poor Puck. Puck. Poor Puck. What are you doing?
Also, guys, Puck has a wish list. Go give to his wish list. Give him 2.
Oh yeah. That's linked down below. Like, share, sub, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time. I'll be on tomorrow, and I'll be talking about the stupid Canadian housing market. Blech! All right, I'll see you guys later.
I won't be on with that.
Yeah, unfortunately. Bye!